Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Essential Sports Pod. Um, we do have our cameras on for this episode, first episode. We're trying to move into the YouTube side of things. So if you are watching on YouTube, you will be able to see us. But if you're still on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and all that stuff, welcome back. Um, I'm here with my friend Gerald.
What's up, guys?
Sorry for the absence. It's been a tough week and a half, 2 weeks to be able to record. So, yeah, let's get into this episode. In this episode, we're gonna get into some recent performers who have done very well, um, and we just wanted to highlight them and yeah, just go over this past, I guess, 2 weeks or so, or June, to you know catch you guys up on whatever on all these stats. So yeah, let's get started. So with the first player we want to highlight is Jordan Walker, who got called up for the second time this season, which made me very glad because that's somebody that I definitely want in the lineup. Um, but he's been crushing it. He's been absolutely crushing it since he came back up, and yeah, we just wanted to talk about him to start this episode. So,
Yeah, I feel like if it wasn't for so many different rookies doing well across the league, Jordan Walker would probably get more recognition as well as he's been doing. But you got guys like Corbin Carroll and James Outman and all of these phenom, Ellie De La Cruz. How could I forget about him? But yeah, he's crushing the ball. Um, do you want to go over your stats, friend?
yeah, I got some stats written down here. So since he got called back up, he's played 19 games. He is hitting 333 with an on-base percentage of 413. His OPS is at a nice 974, which is great to see. A lot of people, especially the commentators, if you're watching the games, they're talking about them wanting Walker to hit the ball up, hit the ball hard, hit his home runs, get his doubles, and he's been doing just that. Um, he's hit 4 home runs in these 19 games with 9 RBIs, and I'm pretty sure he's been pretty much at the 5 hole or 6 hole every game now. So, yeah,
Yeah.
what you got, Joe?
Yeah, like you said, he's been batting higher in the lineup than what he has been in the past. And, I think he deserves it. He can only hit well for so long and be that low in the lineup. The Cardinals are kind of in desperation mode to get wins. And, if that means relying on the 21-year-old Jordan Walker to continue to get hits for us, um, I'm all for it. He's one of the top prospects in baseball. Um, I think he's just an overall like good hitter. Not they like to put guys in categories, say like power hitter or like guy that hits for contact. I feel like he's kind of just all of that. And sure some guys could be nitpickers and say they want him to hit the ball in the air more and all of this type of stuff. But when you hit the ball hard, the results are going to be there, and that's what we've seen ever since he's came back up. So it's good to see him doing this well.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I feel like with people just, I don't know if they're like telling him every day or something, like getting in his head to hit the ball up. I feel like it'll just put him off his, I guess, his lane or like whatever he does, because he hits the ball pretty well, and you can't just always aim to hit the ball up, because if it's just gonna ruin your whole approach and all that. So I
All
think
right.
I think he just needs to stick to what he does, and the results are gonna come.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were upset about the fact that he went down. He had a historic streak to start his career with the hitting streak, but at certain points you could see him getting like overmatched by MLB pitching because like his OPS, I'm pretty sure was around 718 when he got sent down. So that's about league average, which, they wanted him to work on some specific things. And I think we're kind of seeing the benefits of that move because ever since he's came back up, he's looked more locked in and more selective with the pitches that he's going after. And, just seems like he kind of has more of an understanding of what he needs to do and when he goes out there, what he needs to do in order to be a successful big leaguer. So it's exciting to see.
No, yeah. Something that the Cardinals have struggled a lot with is, getting those runners in scoring positions in. I think Jordan Walker has changed that a little bit since he got moved up in the lineup because, our best hitters are always at the top. Goldschmidt is pretty much a guaranteed he'll be on base. Donovan has been crushing it. And, with runners in scoring position, Walker is hitting 314 and on base percentage of 400. So, he's doing his job hitting at the 5-6 hole. And I think it's perfect. We need help getting those
Yeah,
runs in, especially this past month. We struggled to get the runs on the board, and it's hard to see that because our pitching has been pretty decent lately. And it feels
right,
like it's always one or the other.
right. Yeah,
Um, Another stat that I found for Jordan Walker is I got pretty into the splits and all that, and there's some innings that I wanted to highlight where he's hitting the best. So in the third inning, he's hitting 400 with 1,200 OPS, which is insane. And something that popped out to me was his ninth inning hitting. So if he's hitting in the ninth inning, he's hitting 417. He's getting on base, 4 462. That's his on base percentage, and his OPS is at 962. So, I mean, I don't think those numbers can get any
to me,
better.
yeah, to me that sounds like, you said the fourth inning. I think that's around the second time that you face a starting pitcher, obviously depending on how the game is going, give or take a few innings. But to me, that's saying that he's making adjustments. He's going up there his first at bat, probably has a decent chance to get a hit, but that second time seeing the pitcher, he's making the right adjustments. So I think he's a big leaguer for sure, and he's ready.
Yeah, I think it's time for him to stay, especially now that he's on another hitting streak, which is insane. He's on a 15 game hitting
Right.
streak right now, and I saw this thing on Instagram or Twitter that it said that I think he has the fifth longest hitting streak for a Cardinal or something like that, um, which is
Yeah.
under Albert Pujols obviously, and some other big guys in the Cardinals organization. So it's always great to see, especially at 20 years old.
Right.
So yeah, moving on to this next player who I just said something about. It's Brendan Donovan. He's been our leadoff guy, and last year, watching him come up for the first time, and walking so much, getting on base, he's just an on base machine. And I always wanted him to be their leadoff or a number two guy. But I want to highlight his June stats, which he's played 20 games so far. He's hitting 312 with a 404 on base percentage. His OPS is at 833, which is great to see for him because he's not usually a power hitter, but he's been getting those doubles. He's hit a pair of home runs and got 10 RBIs. So I think he's been our perfect leadoff guy, and getting those 10 RBIs as a leadoff guy is pretty good. So um, yeah, if you got anything to say for Brennan.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Always like when you look at the player that Brendan Donovan is, it's a player that's gonna go out there and do everything that he needs to do, everything that's required by the manager. He's gonna grind his at bats. He's gonna play a good glove. He's gonna play all over the field. And the Cardinals love those type of guys, those guys that can play multiple positions and fight in the counts. And he just, to me, he embodies exactly what you want at the top of the lineup as a leadoff hitter. He doesn't strike out a lot. He doesn't chase a lot of pitches. Um he's decently fast. He's not like a burner or anything, but he is gonna fight. He's gonna put the ball in play, and pretty much he's always gonna see the ball well. But when he starts to put the results with the bat, then it's a perfect leadoff hitter. So he's been great. With a lineup that's kind of needed some consistency out of certain guys at the top of the lineup. He's been exactly what they need.
No, yeah, I agree. Pairing him up with Lars Nootbaar at the top, I think it's a perfect 1-2. We got Goldschmidt at the two now, and they've been putting Nootbaar at three, which I mean, I don't really know how I feel about that, but he Nootbaar can get hot and he'll hit for power because he always hits it hard. It's just it's what they say with Jordan Walker,
He's more
hit
of
the
a
ball
line
above.
drive hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I love the consistency with runners in scoring position. Brendan Donovan is hitting 310. He's getting on base. His on base percentage is 464, and his OPS is at 988. So that's always good to see, especially driving the ball, and that on base percentage is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I know here at the Central Sports Podcast, we're really big on guys that when they go out there, we expect for them to have some type of results. The guys that are going to give us confidence. And, Brendan Donovan, he embodies that pretty much as well as anybody. He's going to play good defense. He's going to play everywhere. He's going to give someone an off day to maybe DH. He'll take their spot. And then on the offensive side, he's going to be at the top of the lineup. He's going to work the counts. He's going to be super consistent. So one of the best Cardinals, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Last year, Gerald and I watched a lot of games together and went to some of the games, and our one of our favorite players was always Brendan Donovan, just because
Yeah,
he'll get an 0-2 count and come back 3-2 and walk, like,
right.
or he'll just hit it down the line and get a double easily, and it's
He
just a perfect
yeah, he
player to have
never
around.
looks yeah, he never looks overmatched by anyone. He's gonna go up there and give you the same at bat every time, no matter if it's Shohei on the mound or if it's Graham Ashcraft. Like if it's anyone, he's gonna go up there, he's gonna be consistent, he's gonna work. So that's what we want
Yep.
from the players.
Speaking of consistent, somebody that's been super consistent for our organization since we acquired him at the trade deadline last year is Jordan Montgomery. He has been absolutely lights out this June. After a rough May, he he came back and stepped up, and he has our best ERA on the team right now at 3.69, which obviously it's not an ace type of ERA, but that's very good for, especially after having such a rough month. He's brought it back. So in the month of June, he played 4 games. He pitched 25 innings, which is 6.25 innings per game, which is very good. You want that consistency. You want him to go long so we can rest some guys in the bullpen. And yeah, his ERA for the month is 1.80, which that's an ace type of number. And
All right.
he's I was watching the game and he has one of the lowest. I think it was him or Michaelis, and they have like one of the lowest percentage of walking people in the league, and which is just absolutely insane. He's got 24 strikeouts to his 5 walks, and his opponents are hitting 202 against him. So um, yeah, that's what I got for him.
Yeah, all good points. Um, you know, with Jordan Montgomery, obviously, you don't expect him to go out there and be your ace starter. But again, it's one of those guys that as the season goes along, you're just looking at his stats, you're like, that's solid. Like, that's exactly what you want out of a pitcher. I kind of feel like he was getting a little bit unlucky in his starts because there was a while where he had lost like 8 starts in a row or 9 starts in a row. because the offense wasn't really giving him run support. And, we always said he's pitching well. It's like, it's all right. But when the offense, goes out there on the same day as him and they're able to give him run support, then obviously the stat lines are going to look a little bit better overall. And also, when you're pitching to a 1.8 ERA, that's pretty much shut down. So, you know, just a collective overall with the offense being more consistent and him being a little bit more consistent. Every time he goes out there, we're pretty confident in winning the ball game when we got Montgomery out there.
Yeah, I agree. As we said with Jordan Walker, he makes a lot of adjustments. Jordan Montgomery, he pitches his best when he's facing the batters for the second time. His batters are hitting 230 against him with a 276 on base percentage hit the second time they're facing him. So that's great to see, especially because you want to have that lengthy outing, and if you can make adjustments to the batters, that's it's absolutely perfect to go long.
Yeah, it's great to see overall, just to see his ERA go all the way down to finally in the threes. Looking at the Cardinals starting rotation overall, you look at some guys' ERA and it kind of is like it kind of is like an eyesore a little bit. But to see a guy in the mid three fives and pretty much coming into the season, this is what we expected him to be, like a mid three fives guy, maybe four on the worser end, but to see him be shut down, it's good to see.
Yeah. Somebody else that has been absolutely shut down against their batters and just lights out lately is Jordan Hicks. He recently got moved to the closer role because our closer Ryan Helsley got injured, and we do still have Gio, but yeah, I don't think he's really the closer. Maybe he's just a setup guy.
Mhm.
Um, but Jordan Hicks in June, he's played 10 games, which is 9.2 innings. He's had four save opportunities and got all four of them, and I'm pretty sure he got three of them back to back to back games,
Yeah,
which is absolutely insane. It just shows how much, well, I guess how less he's throwing the baseball, because if he's out there 3 games in a row, he hasn't had to rest.
all right.
But he's sitting at a 3.72 ERA for the month of June, which is I feel it looks a little inflated, but that's only 4 runs given up in 10 of the games he's played, which is pretty good. And I'm pretty sure they were all spread out, so that's just I'm fine with that ERA, honestly. And
Yeah,
he's a strikeout machine. He he's got 16 strikeouts to his 4 walks, and he's just been improving a lot, honestly. Especially in March and April, he had pretty rough 2 months there, and stepped up in May with a 2.38 ERA, and now in June he's lights out again.
yeah. Like you said, the 3.72 ERA does kind of look inflated. Um, but you also have to realize the context of the runs. He's stepped into our closer spot. I mean not Gio. Helsley went on the IL. I think it was a 60-day IL too. So, that's pretty serious. So, we need someone to step into that spot, be shut down for us at the end of the game. That's something that we haven't had all season. And for him to step into that role and, we always talk about the stuff that he has. He has some of the best stuff I think I've ever seen. Like I'm not just saying that. That's not too crazy. I mean, he consistently throws 104 miles per hour. Like
And the
this
run on
that
those
guy's gonna
pitches
be
are insane.
yes, and it's a sinker. It's not even a fastball, it's
Yeah.
a sinker. Like for him to step into that role that he did, and he's showing us his value with him stepping into the closer role because he unlike Helsley, I'm not trying to throw shots, but he's willing to take the ball every day. Helsley kind of has those days baked into like off days. Like he doesn't always get the ball every day, but Hicks, I heard he went to Ali and told him he's like, "Hey, I'm ready to take the ball." Like if you need me, I'm available. And for him, another thing that's impressive with me is he goes out there every time and he's throwing 100 consistently, but he also is available all the time. Like he started like 2 seasons ago as a starter. So, he has that stamina to go a long time and go back to back days. So when you have that in your bullpen, like that's one of your best weapons, and that's exactly what he's been for us over the past few months.
Yeah, he's been super reliable. After Ryan Helsley's season last year being arguably the best closer in the game last season, we expected him to do the same this season, but he's taken a step back, and especially now that he's injured, it's nice to know we have somebody to close these games out when we're up. Because we have
Right,
Gio, we have Genesis Cabrera, but none of them are really the closer. They need to. And for your closer, like Helsley did last season, he's throwing 100. He's got a breaking ball that can be very deceiving, and yeah, I think you just need that flamethrower out there to be able to close those games.
yeah, and think about how valuable he is to the team. Last year started as a starter, then that didn't work out. They scrapped the plan with that. Then he comes back and he's a reliever. He's still the same guy, still throwing 100, still going out there doing his work. He may be inconsistent at times, and I think that's kind of what you get from a flamethrower like Jordan Hicks is sometimes the sinker isn't going to have as much sink or the fastball isn't going to have as much movement and it's going to look more straight. But just the ability to go out there consistently and have some of the best stuff in the game and just bring it for an inning as our closer, super valuable, super valuable.
Yeah. Moving on to our next player we want to talk about is Wilson Contreras. It feels like we haven't talked about him in a long time, just because he's been struggling super bad, especially in the month of May and some of June. In May he hit 158, which just abysmal, and his OPS was at
Mm,
555, which is just it's just hard to see, especially for our big signing this offseason. It's been tough to see, but there's a
right.
lot of behind the scenes that went on. Uh, Involving him with getting moved out of the catcher role and then going to the outfield but not, and then DH and now back to catcher. I don't know. I feel like it's just put a lot of bad thoughts in his head. But recently, in the last 2 weeks, he's actually been playing very good. It seems like he found that consistency. He seems a little more confident in the batter's box, and that's what we need out of our catcher, especially in I guess in a league that doesn't have very good hitting catchers or like exceptional hitters as catchers. It's nice to see. So in the last 15 days, he's had 37 at bats and he's hitting 270. His on base percentage is 357 with an OPS of 800, which is I think that's just the sweet spot. Um, you know,
Right.
obviously I would love for him to be hitting 300 and get on base 400 of the 400 times 400 40% of the time. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very happy with these numbers. He hit a home run. He's got 4 RBIs and he's struck out 6 times to his 3 walks. So I think these are great numbers. I hope he can keep it up.
Yeah. See, with the way Wilson Contreras has been kind of made me put things into perspective because, like you said, the catcher position in baseball hasn't really been known to produce a lot of good hitting catchers. But as of late, I kind of feel like the narrative is changing, and I think that kind of speaks to the fact that the league is just becoming more competitive overall. Like, we got Adley Rutschmans and Francisco Alvarez's and Will Smiths and John Murphy's, and those guys are doing good. They're doing their thing. Um, it could be a lot more pressure for him, but like you said, just lately he seems like he's kind of moving past everything that happened at the beginning of the season that was kind of hard for him. And, you know, at the beginning of the season, we kind of saw glimpses of what he could be offensively. You know, he had some very good stretches at the beginning and he had some very cold stretches. So if we can kind of get to like a middle ground where he kind of is now, um, just looking at his stats in June, he hit 224, which is but 318 on base percentage tells me that he's at least seeing the ball better because he's able to walk more and, maybe have like a few hit by pitches. That doesn't really matter, but that just tells me that he's seeing the ball a lot better. And um, he looked like a super good hitter in London. Like he looked like he enjoyed that trip a lot. And that second game was definitely good for the Cardinals to come out with the win after how the first game went. But yeah, you see him in there getting locked up, and if him and Jordan Walker can produce after like Goldschmidt and Arenado is gonna like make the lineup look 10 times better.
Yeah, it feels like if Wilson can be on, it feels like the first six guys in the lineup can get on base or get a hit. Because, you
Right,
got Donovan, you
exactly.
got Goldschmidt, Arenado, Walker, Newbar now is back. And if you can add Contreras to
Right,
that,
right,
it'd be perfect.
right. Now we'll be talking like about a really good offense.
Yeah. And, adding to the offense, somebody who's came back recently is Dylan Carlson, who's also been adding to our offense. And he's uh, he's been great, especially he looked good in his rehab assignment, and he's kept it up when he's came back up to the big leagues. He's played 12 games. He's hit 270 with an on base percentage of 426, and his OPS is at a 966, which I don't know if we've seen that out of Dylan Carlson before. He's always been,
Mm-hmm.
average OPS type of guy because he's not a power hitter. But I don't know. Maybe he's found something since coming back from the IL. He's hit 3 home runs in the 12 games and gotten 7 RBIs. So yeah, he's looked great.
Yeah, I think I think when you look at a hitter like Dylan Carlson, you definitely see all the tools are there to be a great hitter. You know, he's a switch hitter from the left side. The swing is smooth. It's smooth when he's like really hitting the ball well. It's smooth. And obviously from the right side, he's always been a lefty killer his whole career. So that's pretty sustainable. I know he had that one game where he hit 2 home runs against lefty. So, like I said, that just speaks to what he can do from the right side. But when you see the swing on the left side look as good as it has been lately, that tells me that he's been working. The injury seemed like it was kind of a boost for him because he can take some time off and work on some things in the cage probably, and you know swing with more intent. And I think having him in that seven spot is super valuable. Again, I know I'm like talking about the lineup over and over again, but if you can have a seven hitter that could, get some singles, get some doubles, maybe take a few yards, maybe draw a few walks. Like he can do a little bit of everything, and he's not like a burner or anything in the outfield, but he has a great glove. So again, that's always super valuable. We've needed that for a while because for a while we were throwing out Jordan Walker and Yepes and Burleson when a lot of our outfielders were hurt. So now that him and Newbar are back, we kind of can solidify the defense a little bit more, and that's going to help everyone overall. So it's great to have him in the lineup, personally, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up with the defensive side of things because now we have, we can put Donovan, Carlson, and Newbar out in the outfield and then move Tommy back to shortstop and maybe put DeYoung back on the bench since he's been struggling. Uh, and yeah, I think Dylan Carlson is what Paul DeYoung was for us for a bit, since because Paul DeYoung got hot, pretty hot, and he was a great 7, 8 hole hitter. And now it looks like Dylan is filling in that spot that's been missing a little bit in that bottom of the lineup. So Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, one thing obviously we've noticed lately is Ali really likes the look of Tommy in center field, just because of how fast he is and how mature he looks at the position. You know, he doesn't play center field as his natural position, but yet he looks like one of the best defensive center fielders. So, you know, having three athletes like that, like Tommy and Lars Newbar and Dylan in the outfield that all read the ball very well and have the athletic tools in order to get to many balls in the gap and stuff like that. It's really like something that Cardinals fans shouldn't take for granted and like realize that that can really help a pitching staff, especially ones that pitch to contact like the Cardinals. So, I think that's huge having those guys out there that could really go get it. And, I think from there, the infield defense will improve. We still got Arenado, Goldie. So up the middle, Gorman has played well, but, we want his bat to wake up. So, you know, just kind of solidifying things is always what we've needed, I feel like.
Yeah, after a rough start to the season, it feels like the Cardinals are kind of getting back on a consistent basis. With the pitching, with our new closer now, and some guys getting back to our team like Newbar and Carlson, and obviously Jordan Walker getting called back up. So it's been great to see.
Right. I
So
I really like the idea of him at the DH like he's been playing. But yeah, like you said, that consistency, but like probably more so like knowing exactly what you're gonna get out of someone if you put them out there. Like this season has been crazy for us. Pitching is good, offense is bad. Bullpen is lights out, but the starter gave up too many runs early and the offense can't make up the deficit. So when you can send guys out there and you know what you're gonna get from a certain guy in a certain spot, I think that's a luxury as a manager to know.
yeah, um, I think it's everything's coming together now, and maybe not. It's not too late to make a push, man. I mean, a few years ago we had that 17 game winning streak, so nothing's impossible with this team. It feels like so. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, if you got anything else to add to anything?
Um, I would say I kind of like the way that things have been looking lately, but you know, I feel like a lot of things across the MLB are starting to establish themselves along with the NL Central. The Reds, they're absolutely crazy. Like all of a sudden, all of this young talent, you see so much just young talent just taking over the game. And I love it and I'm here for it. And I hope the Cardinals kind of see that and they're looking at Mason Wynn and they're looking at Luke and Baker and they're like, maybe we should be reliant more on these guys because of the way the game is going. But yeah, um, we'll see how things go up into the trade deadline for sure because that's where we're gonna have to decide if we want to be buyers or sellers. Like Jordan Hicks isn't supposed to be on the roster next season, so we would have to re-sign him. Montgomery, like Flaherty. So we're just gonna have to see how these next few series go.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to say, stay tuned because our next episode will be over the trade deadline. Some moves we'd like to see happen, highlight some guys that have their contracts running out, and see maybe what kind of moves the Cardinals can make at this deadline to see if we can improve this team. So,
Sure.
yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys for being patient with us. We are on YouTube now, so go subscribe to us at the Essential Sports Pod on YouTube. And now we're using Face Cam, so it's more. We want to be a little more personal with you guys and connect with you guys a lot more. So thank you
Yeah.
again for listening so much. Thank you, Gerald, for coming on here, help me out on this pod,
Always.
and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.